I'm just seeing some headlines here. Guardian, for instance, headline there saying this European ruling throws the Rwanda plan into chaos. Where do you think it leaves it?
I think we should go back to first principles, which is what is Priti Patel trying to achieve with this policy? She says that it's about deterring people from crossing the channel on small boats, but there's absolutely no evidence that that would work, even if that flight had taken off yesterday. There are still hundreds of people coming across the channel. I was in Calais last Thursday. I spoke with people, asylum seekers who are trying to come across. They were aware of the Rwanda policy, and it wasn't really having any impact at all on their thinking or plans. So what you fundamentally have to do, I think, is judge a policy on whether it's going to achieve its stated aims, and this one isn't. And then on top of that, of course, there are very important human rights issues around it, and the expense. I mean, the vast cost of that plane yesterday that was sitting on the tarmac, even if it had taken off, it would have been with a maximum of about half a dozen people on it, and it's cost the British taxpayer £500,000. So what the Home Secretary should be doing is focusing on the bread and butter issues of getting a proper security partnership with France and processing asylum applications much more efficiently and effectively in this country, rather than chasing headlines.
I mean, quite aside from the policy itself, what I think this has unearthed and has reopened is the huge debate about the role and the supremacy of British courts. I mean, the domestic courts had approved this, and now at the 11th hour, the ECHR have overturned that decision. And a lot of people, I think fairly, will feel that they aren't being governed by themselves. I mean, a sovereign country should be able to decide its own laws, shouldn't it?
Well, the really important judicial review that's happening now won't conclude until next month, and that's going to decide on whether the policy overall is legal. What I think the European Court of Human Rights was saying is we don't trust Boris Johnson to bring people back from Rwanda if that other case, which is concluding next month, finds that the policy is illegal. And the difference between the British courts and the European Court was simply one of, do we trust the Prime Minister to actually obey the law if the ruling next month is against this policy? And that ruling, of course, is in British courts. It's a matter of, not trusting the Prime Minister to obey the law. And I think there's absolutely mountains of evidence to demonstrate that this is a Prime Minister who doesn't have any respect for the rule of law.
Meanwhile, Stephen,
I think that raises serious questions about democracy functioning. If you don't believe in the rule of law, you can't really have a functioning democracy.
But, Stephen, I mean, you talk about the spiralling costs and whatever. A lot of those spiralling costs are from legal interventions and about protests with all of this. At the end of the day, we still have, and I'm sure you can't deny this, a major immigration problem. And I think just what people are saying is, show me something that is better than this. It's not that this may be a first choice with people, but, we ask you, we say, look, we have got this problem. What the heck do we do about it if it's not this?
Prime Minister said that, didn't he? Yesterday he said, well, have you got a better idea?
Well, so Labour has set out its plan very clearly, which is that we need a security partnership with France, which actually works upstream and breaks the people smugglers model long before these poor people are even getting to France.
In fairness, the government have tried that, Stephen Kinnock, haven't they?
Sorry, could you say that again?
I just wanted to say, on that particular point, the government have tried that. I mean, they've been ploughing money into the French authorities, trying to help them tackle the problem on their shores.
Well, I couldn't think of a worse government to try and have a dialogue with the European Union. Everything this government does is intended to destroy and burn bridges. Just look at what's happening with the Northern Ireland Protocol. So I'm afraid there is no relationship between the British government and the European Union that is going to be any use to us. We need constructive dialogue to get around the table, get a returns agreement in place as well. And then we need to start processing applications. And we're talking about spiralling cost, Eamon. There are currently 37,000 asylum seekers languishing in hotels in this country. Thousands of those are Afghans who are loyal to British forces out in Afghanistan. That is costing the British taxpayer £4 million a day. But rather than focus on solving those issues, because the speed of asylum processing has halved since Priti Patel came Home Secretary, instead they're chasing headlines and just trying to kind of throw something to the backbenchers in order to keep Boris Johnson in his job. That's what this policy is actually about. And
Stephen,
really what the government should be doing is focusing on the bread and butter issues that need to be resolved.
I hate to tell you this, I hate to break this to you, but honestly, it's almost universal support for what Priti Patel is trying to do. And people are quite unappreciative of people like yourself standing in the way. Rightly or wrongly, I'm just saying to you, that is the mood in the room.
Well, Eamon, politics is about choices. Politics is about doing the right thing. And doing the right thing is not just about our values. It's also about the outcomes that you achieve. And achieving your stated aim, we all want to deter these dreadful criminal gangs that are running the people, that are trafficking people. And we want to stop people coming across the channel and small boats and endangering their lives. Everybody wants to do that, but this is not the way to do it because it will not act as a deterrent. It is extortionately expensive, and I don't think it's in line with our values. Our values should be that when we have a problem to solve, we step up and we solve it. We don't offload it to a developing country 4,000 miles away, which, by the way, itself has a dubious human rights record. In 2018, 12 asylum seekers were shot dead by the Rwandan authorities because they were hungry and protesting about lack of food.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.